too many. If I'm doing, that's not your business and it's not your place. And guess what? Sister at Christmas, it's your last one.
Sister at Christmas. Well, first of all,
no. You
okay.
can't do this. What's wrong with being an only child? You're an only child.
I'm an only child.
Right. Did you not play well with others?
Played fine with other kids.
Okay, so what does that mean? So you have one child, so you're confused?
I was fiercely independent.
Right.
I mean, granted, I think sometimes I was probably a bit more mature than other kids. Mm-hmm. But I interacted fine with kids, had friends, did things that kids do. Didn't think it was awkward when I was around other kids.
See, that's just...
So I think it's strange that they would make a big deal about...
They don't like her.
That's what I'm saying. Because
they don't like you.
Because to me, that's a strange thing to nitpick on.
Yes, that's a straight... They just don't like you.
And
it has nothing to do with your child.
What she probably didn't tell us is she's probably in a position where there's some affluency and they do well and they have things.
Yes.
And her family probably has attributed it to the fact that, well, you have all this extra money because kids are expensive.
They really are.
I mean, long gone are the days where, you could give a kid a bat and a ball and they go outside. It's like they want every tech gadget that there is.
Not even that, just feeding them.
Just all that stuff.
Gosh,
just clothing and feeding and just all the things it takes. It's an expensive thing. Mm-hmm. So I'll be honest. Here's what I always say. When people have really large families, like 5 or 6 kids, I'm always like, 1, how can you afford it?
Yeah.
But 2, I often feel, and I've talked to people who come from really large families, I'm like, do you really feel like your parents got to know you?
No.
Because there were so many of you.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like, did they really know your characteristics and your personality?
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's not possible.
You can't give attention to everybody like that.
Right.
Like, it's really hard to do, but, just like people that come from large families, they seem to adjust with that.
They do. They get used to lots of people. Mm-hmm. And I would just talk to her before we had another issue or problem.
It's not your place. And I think cross that you don't get into people's marriage and families and that kind of thing in that kind of way. It's none of your business how we decide to parent, how many children we decide to have, what kind of marriage we have, the way we share all of that falls under the umbrella of my business. And so you handle your husband your way and your family your way, and I will do the same, and then you're supposed to respect that.
All right. I want to throw a curveball into the Dear Abby. This is the bonus, Dear
Wind
Abby.
up.
Now talk about poor parenting. This is a wind up too.
Wind it up.
This is ooh, I couldn't believe somebody wrote this. Okay, so Dear Abby, is there such a thing as non-physical sexual abuse? When I was young, my father would fondle my mother when I came to sleep with them.
What?
When I had a nightmare. So he would go sleep with his parents if he had a nightmare. And he said when he was there, his father had no restraint and would fondle his mother. He said he'll talk about this more in detail. He would also watch porn in front of me.
Wow.
As I matured, he made comments about my figure. Now, it sounds like this is a female.
Oh, this is a girl.
This is a girl. He would barge into my room without knocking and insist he didn't have to knock. He'd tell dirty jokes or talk about sexual inappropriate things. The day after my wedding, he asked my husband how our wedding night had been. But with all of this, he never touched me or me. His actions affected my self-esteem and relationships because as I grew up,
because this is a serious issue. Like, this is a real problem.
Well, here's how she responded.
That is a real problem.
When a parent attempts to initiate sex or watch pornography in front of a child, it is sexualizing behavior, and it could be also considered grooming behavior. Actions were so far out of the normal boundaries that they were off the charts. And yes, it was a form of abuse. My advice is change your counselors. I absolutely agree with Dear Abby on this because, first of all, I can't even imagine a parent, if your child comes to sleep with you, that you couldn't restrain from any kind of sexual action with your spouse because you what?
Yeah,
that's inappropriate.
It is so inappropriate.
mom it happened or not. And first of all, what mom lays in the bed and I'm laying there?
This is what I mean.
See, this sounds like a twisted brood right here.
Like she was abused on two fronts because as a protector, as your mom, you're supposed to like, what is wrong with you? The baby's in the bed. Are you crazy? And so she was supposed to stop that and protect her at that point. So it was just like this.
This reminded me a little bit of remember Precious? There was a scene where the abuse started really early. And
yes.
There was a scene that was like that. And I just, it's her mother failed her.
Yes,
Epic fail with
mother
mom
failed
to protect her and to say, look, honey, that's not appropriate to say that in front of the kids. Or what in God's name are you doing watching porn in front of her? What are you watching porn for anyways?
Right.
But why are you watching it in front of the kids?
Right.
Okay, are you drunk? What's the problem?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's something dysfunctional in that household overall. That one, he thought that kind of behavior was acceptable, but the mother when she says mom was in the bed being fondled and that kind of lost me in the first paragraph.
Yes.
Of the letter.
Yes.
I was like, so for her, she was probably praying to God that it never went further than what it did. Just him, crossing those boundaries of busting in her room when she was changing. But she probably still felt violated.
Violated and afraid. Like what, even if something, I know in the back of her mind, she was like, if my mom has allowed all of this to occur, if something really does happen, A, will she believe me? And B, will she do anything about it? So that had to be a deep-seated fear that she had. There's no way that it couldn't because she's like, everything else has been okay so far.
Well, I'm like this. I hope the therapist got to talking about mom because I know this is all about dad.
Yeah.
But apparently there was a big disconnect here with mom.
Absolutely.
Who obviously knew about dad's inappropriate behavior, took part in some of his inappropriate behavior.
Yes.
And never did anything about it. And I honestly believe that at some point she needs to confront him about it because I think part of her dealing with this is saying, Dad.
And her mama too. She needs to sit both of them
and
down.
say, look, let me tell you something. And either this is going to harm our relationship or it's going to help us move forward.
But she has to get it out.
I never liked, for instance, when I would come sleep with you guys and this happened. I couldn't believe you would do something like that in front of me. With a child who has no frame of reference about sexuality, that's confusing. Mm-hmm. 2, Dad, why you would ever watch porn in front of me, I have no idea. Not appropriate. 3, every time you would barge into my room and invade my personal space, it bothered me.
Yes.
And I found it extremely insulting when I got married that you had the audacity to say to my husband,
how was your wedding night?
I said, that was so far out of bounds. People can say you always have dirty jerks or you're a dirty old man. But in most cases, people would say you were a borderline pedophile.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, and this is an issue for me because I've had to go to therapy and deal with this. I think sometimes people can take control of their situations if they ever just address the people that have made them feel this way.
This is what
now, like
I'm
I said,
saying.
now it could ruin her relationship with her parents, but it already sounds like it's scarred.
Yes,
it's already damaged. So she's just going.
But she has to do it for her,
right? This is for her.
This is for her, and you are absolutely right. You can take back that control and take back what somebody has taken from you, but you have to express it. As long as she keeps that bottled in, she's not going to ever not have to go to counseling until she just gets it out and puts her dad and her mom in check and just tell them. This was inappropriate, and it has scarred me for life, and I just feel I need to
share because it's your fault.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, they went pretty deep on some of these, Dear Abby. The first 2 were surface, and then some people went a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a real problem. On the first 2, bam,
easy answers.
Easy answers.
Actually, no, I think we came to a good conclusion on this.
I think we did, though.
But the right thing was she's in therapy. She's taken that first step.
Yes.
That therapist ever said, dirty old man, shame on you.
Right.
I hope they're not licensed there more. Because that was just an awful thing to say.
Right.
But some serious stuff. Well, that was food for thought.
All right. That was fun.
Nikki B giving her side of what she would say if she had to respond to this. So that wraps up this segment. The next segment that we are going to jump into will be Tech Gone Wrong. 2 different things we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Google, their image recognition software made a huge faux pas.
Google.
But here's a crazy thing. I don't think I might know why it happened. I don't necessarily care for why it happened, but I think I get it. And then we'll talk about a standoff over social media passwords. You may not own what you think you own. It's the Maya Akai Show featuring comedian Nikki Braden.
Yes, babies.
Stay tuned, and we'll go talk about Tech Gone Wrong.
Okay.